Good afternoon. This is Weather Ops meteorologist Chris Kerr, and this is an afternoon update for the storm that will affect the Mid-Atlantic and East Coast later tonight and in through Saturday. Here's a rundown of the expected impacts that I mentioned earlier. Again, we're expecting a significant ice storm to continue for parts of the Carolinas through the rest of tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Widespread power outages will continue across this region. Also, to the northeast, significant snowfall accumulations and blizzard conditions are very likely for much of the Virginias and up through the DC metro area, and also including Philadelphia, parts of southern Pennsylvania, and now the New York City metro area. As mentioned earlier, due to the heavy snowfall, roof failures are very likely for those structures who have very low pitched roofs or no pitch to the roof at all. And hazardous travel will continue to be possible through early next week. This image right here is an animation of the expected evolution of the low pressure system as it moves off the east coast of the United States this evening. As you can see, the isobars become tightly packed, which shows a strengthening system. These warmer colors here are very strong winds that will develop out of the east and eventually to the northeast. This will do several things. This will increase the likelihood of blowing and drifting of the snow. It will also reduce visibilities. And then later on down the road, as these strong winds continue, they will push copious amounts of water into the eastern shores of Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey, and possibly even Long Island, which will allow for some beach erosion and some coastal flooding. Again, the icing threat for South Carolina and North Carolina will continue through mid-evening. Heaviest ice accumulations are still expected across the northwestern parts of South Carolina and much of western and central North Carolina. This does include the Charlotte metro area, where an additional 1/10 to 1/4 inch of ice accumulation is possible. Also, continued very strong winds with gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour will put stress on the power lines and trees, leading to further power outages. And in fact, several thousand customers are without power in this region, and we expect this number to increase significantly through the rest of this evening and into tomorrow morning. And complicating factors will be light snow moving in after the freezing rain threat ends. This will definitely affect those on the roads going to fix the power issues. However, temperatures will slowly rebound across the region on Saturday and especially into Sunday, which should lead to some melting of this ice. This is an updated map showing probability of freezing rain in excess of 1/4 inch. And as you can see, not much has changed from the earlier update. The thinking still is from Charlotte to the southwest through parts of northern South Carolina have a greater than 70% chance of seeing at least 1/4 inch of freezing rain. This goes through 6 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Again, this is our power outage thinking. The locations down here in the Carolinas would be mainly due to ice accretion on power lines and trees, causing the breakage of those. And as you get further to the north across Virginia and into Washington, Philadelphia, and approaching New York City, it's very strong winds with wind gusts in excess of 40 to 45 miles an hour could act to bring down trees and power lines. And again, here's the snow timeline. Snow is occurring right now across Kentucky and Tennessee. We do expect this to come to an end from west to east later this evening and into the early morning tomorrow. Again, snowfall rates of 1/2 inch to 1 inch per hour will be possible, leading to total additional snowfall accumulations of 6 to 12 inches, with the 12 inches being favored in the higher elevations or wherever the most intense snow bands set up. Snow began across the Washington, D.C. metro area about 2 hours ago and will continue to slowly move to the northeast. We do expect a very steady stream of snow throughout much of the day tomorrow, with snowfall rates of about 2 inches per hour. However, thunder snow is a very high possibility, which could lead up to 3 inch per hour snowfall rates wherever the heaviest bands of that thunder snow set up, which is still yet to be determined. This would bring total snowfall accumulations in the DC metro and Baltimore metro areas to around 18 to 30 inches. And again, locally heavier amounts will be possible in the higher elevations, especially the Blue Ridge Mountains, and wherever the most intense snow bands set up. And tracking further to the east and northeast, snow will move into the Philadelphia metro area after about 5 p.m. this evening. with snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour possible. And this will lead to total accumulations of around a foot to 18 inches. Locally heavier amounts, again, will be wherever the most intense snow bands set up. And then finally, as we move into the New York City metro area, we do expect the snowfall to increase in intensity significantly after about 9 p.m. Eastern. Snowfall rates of around 1 to 2 inches per hour, or possibly even higher, will occur through this evening and then definitely through much of the day tomorrow. On our earlier update, we were a little unsure exactly where the heaviest snow across the New York City metro area would set up. It seems to have nudged slightly further to the north, meaning that New York City, Manhattan, could be in the running for about 8 to 14 inches total snowfall accumulation. Again, as the event unfolds, this may slightly change back to the south. It's just yet to be determined exactly where that sets up. But nevertheless, given the very strong winds that will develop, even if New York City does not see up to 14 inches or perhaps 12 inches of snow, those strong winds will still lead to blowing and drifting of the snow, causing very hazardous travel conditions. And again, very hazardous travel conditions are expected throughout the region well into early next week. And again, this is snowfall accumulation probability through 6 a.m. Saturday. This is the latest map. This shows probability of snow exceeding 1 foot. You can see a fairly decent size bullseye here of snow expected in excess of a foot, with amounts tapering off as you move away. This is an updated map valid from early tomorrow morning at about 6 a.m. through 6 a.m. on Sunday. You can see the axis of heaviest snow shifts gradually to the north across the D.C., Baltimore metro areas, and all the way up through Philadelphia and now New York. This is an updated graphic from our snow water depth equivalent map. This is our internal model. Along the same thinking as most of the other models out there now, it's kind of latched on to this idea of moving these heavier snows slightly further to the north, which now includes Long Island and far southern Manhattan, across northern New Jersey and into southeastern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia. And also, as you can see, it does a fairly good job of picking up where the heaviest snow will set up to the northwest of the Baltimore and D.C. areas. And I wanted to mention the snow load again, given that there's copious amounts of moisture to work with this storm system. We do expect a heavy wet snow to fall, and that will, of course, put stress, especially on roofs that are very low pitched or flatter pitched roofs, so completely flat, such as schools or retail locations. Temperatures across the region are expected to gradually begin warming on Monday above freezing, which should facilitate some of the snow melting. However, the thawing and then refreezing process may increase the load on roofs for several days. And then finally, I want to throw out some facts. Well over 5,000 flights have been canceled over the next several days. We'll not be surprised to see that number increase as we get later into tonight and into Saturday as the storm evolves and the impacts become even more clear. And all that said, there are about 30 million people within the latest winter storm warnings. And another fact that's not really getting a lot of publicity is that beach erosion will likely occur with coastal flooding, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, as the easterly and northeasterly winds really kick up and start pushing a lot of water into the coastal areas. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dax Cochran, who's going to talk for just a few minutes about our Weather Ops Commander system.
I wanted to bring up the Commander portal for all of the WDT customers. Make sure you are using your portal. You likely already have your custom settings made for your forecast products as well as your alert products. Continue to use the mobile app to stay abreast on the situation and get the alerts for your specific location directly from Chris and his team at the forecast desk. All of the settings can be made through the Commander portal I have here. Continue to watch IMAP Pro so that you continue to see what's going on with the precipitation. You can see the various warnings that have been put out by the forecast desk here. If you have any questions on any of these settings, don't hesitate to reach out to WDT support. For anyone that is not a WDT customer, we'd love to hear from you. You can go to www.wdtinc.com, visit our contact page. If you fill this out, we'll make sure you get to the right person for your industry, and we would love to help you. Everyone have a great day, and thanks again to Chris for the update.